We're going to stay in Asia, where China has been hosting defense ministers from countries including Iran, India, and Pakistan. But Beijing's SCO summit has suffered a setback after India refused to sign a joint statement put to all members of the group. India charging that the communique was pro-Pakistan because it failed to mention April's attack in India-controlled Kashmir. New Delhi blames Islamabad for the killing of 26 people, which sparked the worst fighting in decades between the two neighbors. Pakistan has denied any role in the incident. Now, earlier, I spoke to Siddharth Varadarajan. He's a veteran journalist and the founding editor of the Indian digital news portal, The Wire. He gave us his assessment of the fact that the majority of the SCO members agreed to sign the statement. India did not.
Well, there's many different ways to think about this, but I think first and foremost, this is a sign that India's point of view on the question of terrorism, on the question of the recent attack in Pahalgam, didn't carry enough weight with the rest of the SCO membership. So somewhere down the line, India failed to put its point across with the other SCO membership. This should have been a simple matter. After all, the SCO has a stand against terror attacks. And I don't see why there would not be a reference to Pahalgam that could have satisfied India. But, frankly, unless we know the specific language India was pushing for and the language that was proposed instead, it's hard to get a firm fix. But I would say this is a setback for Indian diplomacy, that you couldn't carry the day with your SCO partners.
But I mean, looking at it from the outside, are you saying that this is a failure of Indian diplomacy that we're talking about?
Well, after the terrorist attack and Indian military action against Pakistan, India sent delegations around the world of MPs to project India's point of view and to make the point of why there needs to be a kind of united front against terror. And if India has not managed to carry the day on such a fundamental topic as this in the SCO, which is a grouping that it's been a member of for nearly a decade, associated with the SCO, then I think this is a problem. Of course, the SCO operates on the basis of consensus, and clearly there would have been language in what India was proposing that Pakistan would have not liked, because Pakistan is the country that India blames for the Pahalgam terrorist attack. So, I don't know the specific ins and outs of the language, but at the end of the day, it would have been good if India had got a joint statement to which it could associate itself, which made the points on, a joint fight against terror. And sadly, such a statement never emerged.
India and Pakistan accuse each other of supporting terrorists. Is there any way to find common ground here? And I ask this because I noticed that the defense ministers of both countries, that they shared the same room at this summit. So we had enemies together at the table here.
It's hard to think of India and Pakistan agreeing on, precise language, although I wouldn't, you could have had a motherhood and apple pie statement against terror that might have carried the day. But I suspect India was looking for something more. And Pakistan probably had its backup, in part because the host of the summit is China, which is a good friend of Pakistan. But I have to say, for the benefit of your viewers, that even though India and Pakistan do trade this kind of charge, the Indian charge of the involvement of Pakistan-based groups in terrorist acts in India is really quite well documented over the past 2 or 3 decades. Pakistan has flung this sort of tit-for-tat allegation against India, but there are no takers internationally, mainly because Pakistan has failed to present any kind of credible evidence to back up its suggestion that Indian agencies are involved in terrorist attacks, say, in the Pakistani province of Balochistan.
And I want to ask you, since we are talking about India and Pakistan, what did you think when U.S. President Donald Trump mentioned what he called a close-call nuclear war between Pakistan and India that he stopped last month? He mentioned that yesterday at the NATO summit.
he's made remarks to that effect, something like 17 or 18 times at last count. Look, I don't think India and Pakistan were at all close to a nuclear conflict. The very idea is preposterous. But the fact is that they did fight a 4-day military conflict, and there were losses that neither side would be very happy with. And Trump did make the announcement of the ceasefire, so one can only assume that the fact that he got given bragging rights by India and Pakistan suggests that he did play a role in ensuring that the ceasefire was reached, the agreement was reached. Not for I don't think the nuclear factor was at all involved, but clearly the Indian and Pakistani sides were quite happy to have Trump, mediate the ceasefire, even though they're not very thrilled. At least the Indians aren't at Trump constantly claiming credit for it.
Journalist Siddharth Varadarajan, we appreciate your time and your valuable insights. Good to have you with us. Thank you. And joining me here in the studio now is my colleague Beenish Javed. Let's talk, Beenish, first of all, about the SCO, this bloc. How important is it?
So, Brent, it's a regional economic and security bloc. It has countries like China, Russia, Iran, India, Pakistan, Central Asian countries, and now even Belarus is a member. China, which is hosting this SCO Defense Ministers Summit, is a very influential member and has long sought to present SCO as a counterweight against Western-led power blocs. China and other members of SCO say that the basic purpose is to increase collaboration and cooperation between the member countries, but it has members with very different foreign policies and national interests. It has a powerful country like India, which mostly has a non-alignment policy, but it also has countries like China and Russia, which are very public and very openly critical of Western policies and agendas.
And I know you're focusing on India and Pakistan. Both countries' defense ministers are attending the SCO. And I was saying earlier, I mean, we would like to be a fly on the wall in the room where these two gentlemen will be sitting.
Yes. So these two defense ministers are from very hostile countries, very hostile neighbors. Just last month, these two countries, India and Pakistan, had a 4-day, very intense conflict with both of these countries carrying out drone attacks, airstrikes deep into each other country's territories. India had blamed Pakistan for an attack in Kashmir, in Indian-administered Kashmir in April, in which 26 civilians were killed. Pakistan had denied those allegations, but this standoff was so intense that the U.S., Donald Trump, the U.S. president, claims that he then mediated a ceasefire between these two nuclear-armed countries. It's something that, yes, so after that standoff, we still see that hostilities remain, and it's the first time that two important ministers from these two countries are meeting.
And a statement is coming out, a joint statement is coming out from this meeting. Do we know why India has not signed that statement?
So what we are hearing is that India was not happy with not inclusion of the Kashmir attack in the communique. These are the reports that we are getting, initial reports, that India thought that the statement was a bit pro-Pakistan because it mentioned the area of Balochistan and militant activities in Balochistan. Pakistan has repeatedly accused India of supporting armed separatist groups in Balochistan, an allegation that India, of course, vehemently denies. But this shows that the hostilities between these two countries still exist. Indian defense minister at the summit mentioned Kashmir attack, mentioned that how brutal it was, that 26 civilians were killed. It means it's still a very, very touchy and very important topic for India, and India definitely wants it to be mentioned, and of course blames Pakistan for it, an accusation that Pakistan denies.
Beenish, good to have you in the studio. Good to have you put that all into context for us as well. Thank you.